Welcome to Writer Therapy, a place for writers to talk honestly about creativity, process, and everything in between. In each session, host Timothy Colomba speaks with writers at all stages of their journey. Learn about their challenges, breakthroughs, and the reasons they keep returning to the page. In this episode, we'll be talking to Zane Dowling, author of the Tryadon Prophecy, Brother's Keeper, and Tears of an Angel, available on Amazon.com. Zane is the owner of The Right Way community on Skool.com, where he is available to mentor aspiring writers.
Zane, thank you for joining me. So tell me about yourself. Tell me about your current project. What are you working on right now as a writer?
Well, right now I'm actually doing a second edition of my first book. I wrote it quite a while ago and wanted to revisit it to try and make it better, try and make it more appealing and more interesting for the reader.
What's the title of the book?
The book is called The Tryadon Prophecy.
So tell me about it. What's it about?
It is a story about a man. He's had a loss in his life, and he's on a journey to try and get revenge, first of all, for that loss. And then it turns out he has to change his strategy to one of trying to reinstate what he lost. It's a kind of a love story, but it is science. It's a fantasy fiction, and it involves magic. He has to go through some trials, and he meets some interesting people that become like mentors to him. Mm-hmm. One of them specifically. It has some twists and turns that are not unheard of, but I think they're pretty interesting. But the main character's name is Creston. His fiancée is named Krista. He's suffered betrayal from the get-go, and that is from his best friend, and his best friend does something really kind of tragic in his life, and so he's trying to get revenge at first, but his best friend has fled, and so he's on this journey trying to find him, and so he, like you said, he meets someone along the way who helps him, and it's a story that has several main characters, but the person who saves the day in the end is someone you probably wouldn't expect. Mm-hmm. And yeah, like I said, it has a lot of twists and turns to it.
What kind of a fantasy world is it, or like what is the setting?
Well, it's kind of an Earth-style world, mm-hmm. But more of a, for lack of a better word, a Tolkien kind of setting. The main character ends up learning magic. It is a world that has magic in it, and the magic that is in this world is kind of unique in a way, and it does involve an afterlife, mm-hmm. which ties into the magic of the whole story, which I thought was an idea that was pretty interesting. To me, when it came up.
Is that the fun of writing like fantasy and magic? Like, is that? I imagine the fun is creating those systems and sort of working out the logic. And did you do that as you were writing, or did you do it sort of before you sort of planned it out and then started writing? Like, what came first? Would you say?
Yeah, it was definitely not an outlined story. From the beginning, it was just I started writing. The story developed itself, which I find happens a lot in my writing.
You're a pantser, as they say.
Yeah. Pretty much. I have been known to make outlines. In fact, I have a couple of outlines for stories that I haven't written yet that I am interested in starting. But those are more real life stories.
So what inspired this story, and what sort of pushed you to start writing it as your first book?
Well, to be honest with you, the desire to make more money.
Yeah.
Not didn't really materialize that way, but it was the driving force. I enjoy writing. I have since I started writing. When I first my first took my writing 101 in college, it really inspired me in putting my imagination to work. And so, yeah, it's something that I really enjoy doing. And yeah, I do write by the seat of my pants a lot. As the story writes itself, I say.
Yeah. How many books have you written and released, or written
I
or
have
released?
I have 3 books that are completed and available on Amazon.com. That's the only platform I am on. I should get on some of the other ones, get myself out there a little more, but just too busy writing and
Yeah,
living.
that's a good thing.
But yeah, the my most recent book is my third book. My second book is it is a historical fiction. I like writing historical fiction because I learn about history, and
Hmm.
that's one of my passions is learning. I sometimes just get on Wikipedia just when something strikes my interest, and I read about it.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, I'm the
the
same.
the second book is, like I say, historical fiction, but it has a fantasy element to it. It is a Christian themed book,
Hmm.
and so my third book, my most recent one, is historical fiction with a Christian theme as well, but it doesn't have a fantasy element to it.
So the second book, what's the title of the second book?
It's called Brother's Keeper.
And what's that about?
Well, the fantasy part of it is about the character going through time. He's immortal, and
Oh.
the idea is that it's Cain from the Bible story, Cain and Abel.
Hmm.
Cain, as you may know, was cursed to walk the land, as the Bible says, and some people have posed the theory that he is the infamous wandering Jew that there's a story about.
Oh, I've
And
never heard about that.
right, the story came to me. The inspiration was through a dream
Hmm.
about someone who couldn't die, and so I tried to find out who that character was going to be when I wrote it. And so I researched the story of the Wandering Jew, and one of the theories, one of the posturizations, is that it was Cain who was cursed to live undying
Oh,
because he has the mark, and anyone who would kill him, they would be the ones who.
oh, right. That's right.
Yeah, so that was the premise that stuck in my head when I started the story, and
I love that.
so it follows him not throughout his whole life, but at a
Yeah.
point where he is actually now a Christian, and
Okay.
he's trying. He's in his wanderings is trying to find redemption through his actions, which a lot of
Hmm.
times people do. But he goes through different parts of history, and so we
Hmm.
get to see. I used There's a story about a battle, an actual battle that happened in Scotland between two clans, and an actual story where this person came into the battle to take the place of one of the people who couldn't fight.
Hmm.
So these two clans are going at it, and this is a person who's not even in the clan, and it actually happened. But I
Yeah.
used this as the premise.
I
He's
love
the
it.
person. He's the person who jumped in, and well, I don't want to spoil the whole story, but
In that historical battle, did they not know who that person was? Is that kind of like the Wandering Jew, like some sort of like a mystery kind of thing?
that point in the story, he is his life at that time.
Right.
He was a blacksmith,
Okay.
and that is who the actual person was. He was a blacksmith. I had to do all this research, and that was fun. But they didn't want the teams or the sides not to be even.
Right.
And because one of them couldn't fight, the king at the time, who was there watching thing, in fact, he's the one who arranged this battle, and that's real. The king of Scotland at the time asked the crowd, "Does anyone want to join?" And so he steps up, and because there was a promise of some reward and other
Right.
things like that. But it's a very interesting story to begin
Yeah,
with.
but I love that you took. I mean, even the Kane story is interesting. Like just that concept of. It's funny because I remember reading that about Kane, and you're like, okay, yeah, no one's allowed to kill him, and you move on. But that's a great. I love that as your base to like go off of that and now turn. I think of and ashamed I haven't read the book, but I think of like Interview with a Vampire, where you have this guy kind of going through time and seeing how everyone changes, and I love that. That's a great concept. Very
Yeah.
cool. And what's your third book? Tell me about your third book.
It's historical fiction, real life historical fiction. It is the main character is wounded in battle in Vietnam,
Mm-hmm.
and in Vietnam, in the hospital, at first he's angry, but then he actually becomes a Christian because someone talks to him, witnesses to him,
Mm.
and so this story basically follows his life and recovery and how he influences other people to become Christians. It has some of the typical things you would think, given the situation he's in, some
Right.
PTSD incidents, some dealing with his own issues while helping other people deal with theirs. It as well has some twists and turns. It just came to me. I was like, man, that would be great. So I
Yeah.
stuck that in there, and I'm very pleased with my third book. Like I said, my first book I'm doing a second edition, and I plan a second edition for the second book, Brother's Keeper. In fact, I rewrote the prologue so it has a different feel.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're listening and you're interested, you might want to wait till the second edition comes out. But my third book, like I say, is my best so far. I think because I've learned so much over time about writing and how to make things more interesting.
Yeah. Tell me about your writing. Like you sit down to write, what do you do?
Well, I used to use Word, but since I got my new computer and I didn't want to purchase that suite again, I decided to start using Google
Okay, yeah.
exclusively. So
Google
I write
Docs.
now in Google Docs, which is it's transferable. I can bring in my old stories from Word and work on them there.
Nice.
So it's pretty versatile and right now. So I'm going to continue using that. But as far as, it's hard to find time to write,
Mm.
and I don't really have any kind of ritual. It's just like when I can find the time, I jump on, and I have this way of keeping track of what point of my writing I'm in or my editing I'm in, and I do this thing where I type start here, and
Okay, great.
then I search for that and just start where I left off. So it's just one of the techniques that help me find where I left off quickly.
There's a big there's a writing advice out there that about a lot of authors say that if you stop writing in the middle of a chapter or just like in a random paragraph, for some reason it helps you pick up back again versus if you stop at the end of a chapter and now you have to restart a new chapter. It's hard to like get that momentum. Do you find that that's the case for you? Like if you put that start here, it's usually in the
Well,
middle.
because of the way I write, I wouldn't say I do things that way, but one thing I do when I write, and not just when I'm starting up, when I'm actually in the process of writing, if I write something extensive, like a pretty long paragraph, I'll go back to the previous paragraph and I will start there and just read down through the one I had just written to
Mm-hmm.
see how it feels with what's going on.
Yeah.
And if I wanted or need to change it, I'll change it to try and make it better. But yeah, I spend a lot of my editing and my writing rereading what I've written
Right.
just to make sure it makes sense, make sure I left something out that would be important. I find that kind of a similar thing to what you were talking about, but that's my way of doing it.
You just get the engine running, basically.
Right.
Yeah. And you're talking about it's hard to find time to write. What do you do on your day to day? You mentioned, I think, before that you were semi-retired, or
Mm.
what do you do for work, or what did you do?
Well, administrative is my genre because of the time I spent in the military as a unit clerk, and when I got out of the military, the U.S. Army, I continued working in an administrative kind of office kind of field. So I've done other things, but that's my go-to, my wheelhouse, as they say, is administrative. So I am semi-retired because I did an early retirement at the age of 62.
Okay.
And so I only work part-time. In fact, I'm limited to working part-time because of the rules that they have.
Right.
You can only earn so much in a year if you're on an early retirement until the point you reach your actual retirement age.
Oh, okay.
But that is what keeps me in a part-time situation. So the thing that I'm doing right now is basically doing kind of administrative things for my son's pool company,
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, I make sure his bills get paid, his customers' bills,
Yeah.
kind of an accounts receivable
Right.
situation. I do some administrative letter writing for him, and I do his payroll. I've been doing that for him for a little over a year now.
Oh,
So
wow, nice.
that's a nice arrangement. I can work whenever I want to. I mean, I have certain deadlines that I
It's
have to.
like it's like passive. You have like assignments, but it's you do it as you can.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
great. I love that.
yeah. It's so that's nice, and I have that personal connection to it, which is
Yeah.
also a really neat aspect. I mean, I love being able to help him and giving him ideas for his business as well. I'm working on his policies and procedures.
No.
It's a smaller company, but yeah, he's doing well
Well,
at
with
it.
your help, he can grow. I have a small company, and I have to tell you, it's hard to find someone you can trust, to work with you. Now, do you have anyone in your life that you can talk about writing with? Like, do you have a writing community in your life, offline, would you say? Or is it kind of like for me, I am solo. I got no one I talk to writing about outside of
Mm.
school.
Well, the only thing like that I can think of is my school community, and I do a lot of writing there. I'm probably writing more there lately than on my own work. But it's kind of, when you have a writer's group,
Yeah.
it becomes kind of writing intensive for some reason. And so, yeah, I've been spending a lot more time doing that rather than working on my own writing, which is a little bit annoying, to be honest. I really want to work on my own stuff, but owning a community on Skool, it's not the easiest thing to do for me, anyways, because I don't have a lot of what do you call them, classrooms and things to earn money from. In fact, I'm not earning any money from it right now.
Same.
The goal is to earn some money, but yeah, not turning out that way yet.
So tell
And
me about your school community. What can listeners look for? What's the name of it? And
well, on Skool platform, I have two actually. One is called The Right Way, where right is the word right, and it's grown pretty quickly over the last what? It's only like 3 months old, and I have over 100
nice.
members already, and so that kind of surprises me. But I think some of those members, unfortunately, may be people who are just lurkers. But I do have some members who are pretty active and
Hmm.
are involved, which is good. So I'm not the only one posting on there.
So
um,
what's the premise of the group?
I am there to help people learn to write.
Nice.
Uh, I one of the bigger parts of it is originally I was doing them for an hour. That was once a week. So now I do them more often through the week, but just for hopefully 15 minutes. It sometimes gets into 20 minutes, but
Yeah.
not much more than that. But anyways, what I do is two things. I either talk about writing in a specific genre like poetry or fiction or whatever it may be, memoirs, journaling. So I save those on there for the members to watch at their leisure.
Nice.
And I also have what I call editing sessions. They're all called live lessons, but the editing part is where I go into my story and I take just like a paragraph and I go through it and I just kind of edit and figure out.
Explain it as you go.
Yeah, and I explain
I love it.
why I'm making those edits, and hopefully, my hope is that people who watch it will be like, "Hey, that makes sense. I'm going to start using that," or whatever. So that's probably the biggest part of it is those live lessons.
It's interesting. People will watch. Even my son, he's 4, and he'll
Mhm.
watch someone playing with toy, or they don't even play with toys. They just show you the toy. They say it does this, it does that, And then my son will now do that to me. There's something about watching someone do something you love, you know what I mean? And I never understood it. I'd see my son like watching these toys, and I'd kind of go, "What am I doing? I shouldn't let him watch this," But I kind of understand that seeing someone edit in real time. I mean, you're getting a sense of how do you spot something? How do you edit it? How do you, edit something and not lose its meaning? There's a lot there. It's important as writers to, I think, be able to edit it yourself, because otherwise, I mean, if you're relying on a paid editor, you're going to pay a lot of money, I think, right?
Mm.
Do you edit on your own, like exclusively, or have you ever hired an editor? Or?
I've never paid anyone to edit. I've edited for people for free, actually. I mentored a Canadian lady that I met online, and she went on to write two books of her own and a lot of short stories and stuff. And so I helped her develop her style. And writing is, I mean, anyone can write, but to do it well, you kind of have to have a knack or be taught how to. And
I think you have to have the diligence to edit too. Like writing to me was nothing. It was like getting it on the page was easy. I feel editing comes naturally to me, but I find that it takes forever. I think that's the difference, would you say?
yeah, I believe that there are two types of writers. There are those who think their writing is not good enough and they just sit and go and go and go and try to make it better without even putting it out there, which is kind of sad. But then there are other people who just write and write and write, and it's, for lack of a better word, it's garbage, and
Yeah.
they think it's the best thing in the world,
Right.
which is a sad thing as well. You take pride in what you've written, but if you think it's the best thing coming out of you out of the gate and doesn't need to be edited, you're lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Every thing that gets put on the page deserves to grow like your child. And you need to nurture it. You need to build it up, and that's how I look at my writing in
You have to
two ways.
discipline it. You have to discipline your writing too. I find that's the greatest thing I've learned is learning to cut things and be more quiet. That's a really hard. I'm sure for writers, like what are writers is we just people with a lot of things to say.
Yes.
And the hardest thing to learn is to stop saying so much.
Yeah.
Well, so I want people to join your group the right way. What's the other group you have on Skool?
Oh, it's called Watchers Defense Club. Basically, I came up with this idea long ago because there are a ton of videos out there, shorts that show you this and that, and this is the way to do it, that's the way to do it. A lot of them are really good, but some of them are just not. One in particular, I remember watching this nunchucks video, beginner's nunchucks, and the guy was a beginner himself, obviously,
Yeah.
because he he wasn't showing people the right way. So I had this idea to get people together, to gather people in a room and say, hey, let's watch this, and if we think it's good, we'll practice it. That was the premise. And so I brought that over to the Skool platform, and just I post videos that I find, I repost videos that I find on Facebook or other venues. I kind of evaluate it. This is great. This is, do what this person is doing. Or, well, this person has a good idea, but it's just not quite working. Here's another way. Right. And so that's the premise for that, just to get people together. And the great thing about it is, it's kind of a form of teaching where they can do it on their own time.
Right.
They don't have to go to a dojo. They don't have to go to a certain location and pay all this money to get some expert to teach you. And they, in fact, would only teach you their style, their way of doing it. Whereas with the Watchers Defense Club, it's not limited to any certain style. I mean, you could learn a jiu-jitsu move. You could learn a striking move.
Do you focus on like single moves, or are these videos sometimes like a whole routine, for lack of, I don't know the word, but
those videos are out there, but I haven't posted anything like that. I mean, having practiced Taekwondo in my past, I'm familiar with forms, and most schools or styles of martial arts have their own forms that they go through to practice. But I don't focus on that. It's more of a single move, single option kind of thing. Because if you ever have to put something into play, it's going to be a fluid thing. So you can't predict that this is going to work or that's going to work. It may work, and you can try to employ it, but who knows? Because, like I say, it's fluid. The person might be faster than you. They may know something different than you. And so the best thing you can hope for is to practice what you can practice. And another aspect of the group is to practice being watchful. I mean, have you ever seen the video of the person being pushed in front of a train or something? I mean, that kind of stuff actually happens. People being attacked or punched just walking down the street for no reason. Yeah. So that's the other aspect of it, is to focus on being aware, and once you're being aware, if something happens, also being able to do something about it. So
okay, I love that. Nice. What can writer therapy do to serve a writer like you?
So many people are afraid to be embarrassed or get their work out there, but I mean, if you're doing something, you might as well get it out there so people can help you, or tell you
where you put out there one day. You might as well do it now.
I mean, otherwise, don't bother doing it.
Right.
I mean, so many people say, I write because I like to write. I love writing, but what good is that if no one's going to read it?
Yeah, it's true. True. Well, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for your service. I forgot to say earlier. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's my pleasure being with you.
You can learn more about today's guest in the description and show notes. Connect with Tim on Instagram at Writer Therapy Sessions or Timothy Colomba Writes. If you enjoyed the conversation, please like, rate, subscribe, and share to help our guests reach new readers and help others discover the show. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next session.